I never thought I'd be the guy writing about something like this, but here I am. My name's Mark, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We're not perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had our disagreements, as any couple does, but I always believed that deep down we trusted each other. That trust was the backbone of everything. Or so I thought. It all started a few months ago when Lisa signed us up for a marriage retreat. It was supposed to be a way for us to reconnect, work through some issues, get some outside perspective. Honestly, I was kind of optimistic about it. Maybe it was naive, but I thought it could help us. The retreat was held in the mountains, a quiet, peaceful spot, and from the start I noticed Lisa acting a little differently, more distant, kind of irritable, snapping at small things. I figured it was just stress or maybe her way of resisting the process. She's always been a little bitchy when she's uncomfortable, so I let it slide. The first sign that something wasn't right came during one of the group sessions. We were sharing our feelings, and I was pouring my heart out about how I felt neglected, how I missed the intimacy we used to have, how I wanted to rebuild what we lost. Lisa sat quietly, but I caught her looking around the room, her eyes darting like she was anxious or hiding something. After the session, I noticed she was texting someone, hiding her phone whenever I came near. I didn't think much of it at the time. Couples sometimes do that. Then, things got weirder. She started canceling plans with me, claiming she was tired or had a headache, but I'd find her sneaking out of the room at odd hours. Once, I followed her and saw her slipping into a supposedly private room with a man I didn't recognize. That was odd. The room was supposed to be for group activities, but she was in there alone with him, and I could hear muffled voices. My stomach dropped. I didn't want to believe it at first, but deep down, I knew something was going on. Later, I asked her about it, and she just brushed it off with some bullshit excuse about being tired and maybe hearing things. The real punch in the gut came when I found her phone. I was looking for something else, details about the retreat schedule, and I saw a message thread open on her screen. It was with a guy named Tom who was actually the husband of our marriage counselor, a man Lisa had been friends with for a while. The messages weren't just friendly. They were flirty, suggestive, downright explicit at times. My heart stopped. She'd been texting him probably for months, maybe longer. I saw her talking about meeting up, about secret moments, and how she felt alive when she was with him. The messages were full of sex talk, plans to meet in secret, and even some nasty comments about me, her husband. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was furious. Betrayal doesn't even begin to cover it. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, then stepped on. I felt so stupid for not seeing it earlier, for trusting her when she'd been lying to my face all this time. I didn't know what to do or how to feel. Part of me wanted to scream, to confront her right then and there, but I also knew I had to plan. My next move. I took screenshots of those messages, just in case I needed them, and went back to our room, my mind racing with questions and anger. How could she do this? During our marriage retreat, of all places. How long has this been going on? And the worst part, she had the nerve, when I finally confronted her, to lie again. That's where I'm at now. Sitting here, staring at the evidence I found, trying to process how the woman I loved and trusted could cheat on me so blatantly behind my back. If she'd just been honest from the start, maybe I could have handled it better. But the lying, the sneaking around, she's just so damn manipulative, and I feel like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. The betrayal hits deep, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. I stayed up all night after I found those messages, going over everything in my head. I kept thinking about the times she snapped at me, the little lies she told about where she was, the way she avoided any real answers. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. How could she do this? How could she betray me during a retreat designed to fix what was broken, and do it with her counselor's husband? It was like some sick joke. I knew I couldn't confront her immediately. I needed to gather my thoughts, get some clarity before I blew everything up. But that was easier said than done. I kept flashing back to those damn messages, to her stupid smirk when she lied about where she'd been. I was boiling inside, feeling a mix of betrayal, rage, and heartbreak. The worst part was knowing she was probably lying again, trying to gaslight me, deny everything. I had no doubts she'd spin some story, say I was paranoid or imagining things. The next day, I decided to follow her. I didn't want to jump the gun, not yet, but I needed proof. I waited until she was in the lobby, then I checked her phone. She'd left it behind in our room. I saw more texts from Tom, more hints about secret meetings, even plans about sneaking away after the next group session. I was stunned. She was planning this right under my nose and I had no clue. My chest felt tight, like I was about to suffocate. I wanted to scream, to shake her and demand answers, but I kept my composure. Instead, I took more screenshots, saved the evidence, then left her to her lies. I knew I had to confront her, but not yet. I spent the rest of the day watching her, observing her fake smile, her quick glances at her phone, the way she kept trying to hide her face whenever I looked her way. I couldn't believe how easily she lied, how she played the victim when I finally brought it up. When I did, she looked me dead in the eyes and told me she was just friends with Tom, that he was just someone she talked to during her therapy sessions to vent, and that I was overreacting. She said I was paranoid, jealous even, that I was imagining things because I didn't trust her. That was the worst part, her gaslighting, trying to make me question my own sanity. It didn't work, but it made me feel even more helpless, like I was losing my mind. I didn't want to believe her lies, but part of me still hoped that maybe she was just messing around, that she'd come clean eventually. I waited for the right moment, and when it came, I finally laid everything out on the table. I showed her the screenshots, asked her why she was doing this, how long she'd been cheating. Her reaction was classic, defiance mixed with that bitchy, condescending attitude she always had. She rolled her eyes, sneered at me, and spat out a bunch of excuses about how stressed she was, how it meant nothing, and that I was just too insecure. She told me I was overreacting, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill, and that I was crazy for even thinking she could do something like that. That confrontation was like a blow to my chest. I felt every ounce of my trust shattered into pieces. The woman I married, the woman I loved, was out there screwing around with a guy who was supposed to be helping us fix our marriage, and she was lying through her teeth about it. I looked at her, and I saw this girl I didn't even recognize anymore. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone selfish, manipulative, and utterly unfaithful. I wanted to yell, to break something, but I just sat there, stunned, trying to hold it all in. I knew then that everything had changed forever. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything, feeling a mix of sadness and anger. I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust her again, if I could forgive her, or if I'd be doomed to live with this betrayal forever. Part of me wanted to just walk away, cut my losses, and start over. But another part, wounded and confused, still hoped there might be some way to fix this mess. I didn't know what was worse, knowing she cheated or knowing she'd lie about it, deny it, and probably keep doing it as long as she could get away with it. Right now, I'm just trying to breathe through the pain, trying to figure out what I'll do next. The betrayal is fresh, and honestly, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. I keep asking myself if I can ever look at her the same way again, if I can forgive her, or if I should just cut her loose and move on. But no matter what, I know one thing for sure. This is a betrayal I won't forget, and it's going to change everything between us. After that confrontation, things didn't suddenly get better. Honestly, they got worse. I expected her to deny everything at first, maybe get defensive, but I didn't expect her to turn into a full-blown bitch about it. She started throwing accusations at me, saying I was just a jealous idiot, that I was paranoid and insecure. She claimed she didn't cheat, said Tom was just a friend, and that I was crazy for even suspecting her. But I knew better. I had the screenshots, the messages, everything. There was no denying it anymore. She spent the next couple of days acting like I was the crazy one, trying to gaslight me into thinking I'd misunderstood. She'd say things like, "You're imagining things," or "You're so insecure you don't trust me." Meanwhile, she kept texting him. I caught her sneaking her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd laugh at her own lies, too, which made my blood boil. It was like she was enjoying the power she had over me, like she relished the fact that she could still hide things from me, still manipulate the situation. I felt so humiliated. I'll admit I was crying inside. Not because I was weak, but because it hurt so much to know the woman I married didn't love me enough to be honest. I started questioning everything. Our entire relationship, my self-worth, the future I envisioned with her. I mean, I'd always been faithful, always tried to be a good husband. And she was out there, sneaking around with her counselor's husband, lying through her teeth about it. That's when I realized I had no idea who she really was anymore. She was a stranger. That night I decided I had to do something. I couldn't keep living like this, constantly feeling like I was walking on eggshells. I needed to get more concrete proof, something undeniable I could hold in my hands or show to someone else. I spent hours going through her text history, her social media, even her email. I was trying to find any clue that would explain how long this had been going on, how deep it ran. I wanted to know if she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe even longer. That's when I found something that made my stomach turn. She had booked a room in the same hotel where the retreat was held, just a few miles from where we stayed. I found the reservation confirmation email buried in her account, along with a hotel bill charged to her card. I was stunned. She had planned to meet him there, probably for a secret weekend or just some quick sex fling. I knew at that moment that this wasn't just some passing thing. It was serious, and she had been sneaking around for a while. I kept all of this to myself, though. I didn't want to blow up yet. Instead, I waited until the next morning when she was in the kitchen pretending to be normal. I sat her down, calm but furious, and threw the evidence in her face. I told her I knew about her hotel booking, about her plans with Tom, and that I had enough proof to ruin her if I wanted to. Her reaction was priceless. She looked surprised for a second, then furious, then just sneered at me and said I was paranoid and crazy. She told me I was delusional, that I was just projecting my insecurities onto her. That's when it hit me. She was a master at lying and gaslighting, and I was just another victim of her bullshit. Her whole attitude was one of disdain, like I was just some fool who didn't get it. She accused me of trying to control her, said she deserved to have her own life, her own fun. She told me I was suffocating her, that I was obsessed with her every move. Honestly, I wanted to punch her in the face. Instead, I just sat there, feeling my blood boil, knowing I had to decide what to do next. The worst part is, I still loved her. Deep down, I kept hoping she'd admit everything, that she'd feel guilty, that she'd finally be honest. But instead, she kept digging in her heels, lying, accusing me of being the problem. I could see she loved the power she had over me, the control she was exerting by denying everything. And I realized at that moment that this wasn't going to be fixed by words or promises. If I stayed, I'd be a fool. If I left, I'd be broken, but at least I'd be free of her lies, so I made the decision to leave. I packed my stuff while she was out pretending everything was normal, and I didn't tell her where I was going at first. I just knew I couldn't stay in that house living a lie. I needed space, a clear head. The pain was overwhelming, but I also felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I was taking control. I knew I'd have a lot of questions to answer, and my trust was shattered beyond repair. Still, I couldn't keep pretending she was the woman I thought I married. I had to walk away, even if it broke me in the process. The decision to leave felt like finally taking a breath after holding my breath for too long. I knew I had to get out of that house before I completely lost my mind. As I packed my bag in silence, I kept thinking about all the times she lied to me, all the times she pretended to be someone she was. Part of me wanted to confront her one last time, but I knew it wouldn't change anything. She'd just lie again, maybe even turn everything around on me, accuse me of being the crazy one. And honestly, I was tired of fighting her lies. Before I left, I took one last look around the place we'd shared for so many years. It was surreal. Every corner, every piece of furniture seemed to whisper her deception. I felt like I was walking through a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I left her a note, short, straightforward. I told her I knew what she had done, that I couldn't stay with someone who didn't respect me or our marriage. I told her I was done, that I'd be filing for divorce. I didn't want to see her face again, not until she was ready to own up to her betrayal. The drive away from the house was a blur. I felt numb, yet every mile I put between us felt like a huge weight lifting off my chest. But underneath it all, there was this gnawing ache. I was broken. I'd been betrayed so deeply I wondered if I'd ever feel whole again. The worst part was knowing she'd probably continue lying, denying everything and maybe even trying to spin it so she was the victim. That thought haunted me. I kept thinking about the lies she told, the way she manipulated every situation, convincing herself she was justified in cheating on me during what was supposed to be a relationship rebuilding retreat. I spent the first couple of days staying with a friend, trying to get my head straight. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her sneering face, that dismissive look she gave me when I confronted her. It was like a slap every time. I kept replaying all our memories, good, bad, and the betrayals, and trying to find some meaning in it all. Was I blind? Was I just too trusting? I kept asking myself if I'd done something wrong, even though deep down I knew that wasn't the case. She chose to cheat. I didn't push her to do that. It was her decision, her moral failure. As I sat there, I drank a lot, more than I should have. It helped dull the pain, at least temporarily. I wanted to forget, at least for a little while, that I was a guy whose wife had just cheated on him with his own marriage counselor's husband. The irony was sickening. I kept thinking about all the little things I missed, things I'd ignored or dismissed, signs I should have seen but didn't. I guess I was naive. Maybe I wanted to believe in us more than I wanted to admit the truth. I started thinking about what I'd do next. I knew I couldn't keep living in this limbo. I had to figure out my next step, whether to fight for divorce, try to reconcile, or just cut ties completely. Honestly, I was leaning toward walking away entirely. I couldn't stand the idea of her twisting everything, of her trying to make me look like the crazy one. I didn't want to keep playing her game. I deserved better than this, even if it hurt like hell to admit it. But the thing is, part of me still loved her, still wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, she'd come clean and we could start over. That hope was like a tiny ember in my chest, flickering weak but somehow still burning. I knew I shouldn't hold on to it, but I couldn't help it. I'd been with her so long, loved her for so many years, that walking away seemed impossible without feeling like I was throwing away everything we had. Or what I thought we had. Every day since I left has been a roller coaster. Some moments I feel angry, furious at her for doing this to us. Other times I just feel empty, numb even, like I've lost a part of myself. It's confusing, and I keep asking myself if I made the right decision. But deep down, I know I can't stay with someone who betrayed me this badly, someone who lied to my face while sneaking around behind my back. No matter how much it hurts now, I believe I have to walk away, rebuild whatever I can from the wreckage, and try to find some kind of peace. Even if that peace is just a quiet place where I don't feel this constant sting of betrayal. The days turned into a blur of confusion, pain, and reflection. I spent a lot of time alone, trying to piece everything together, trying to understand how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind. The betrayal was so deep that I kept questioning myself. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Did I miss the warning signs? But deep down I knew better. Lisa was always the kind of person who liked to manipulate situations, spin stories, and blame others. She was good at hiding her true nature, at pretending to be the perfect wife when she was really just good at hiding her lies. I kept replaying the moments she got defensive, the way she gaslit me when I confronted her, and how she always had a reason, a lie to cover her tracks. It was like she was trying to rewrite history, convincing herself that she was justified, like she deserved to cheat and lie because I was doing enough for her. That thought made me sick. I'd always tried to be supportive, to make her happy, but she'd just taken everything for granted. It was like I was just a tool to her, someone she used until she found something better. I also started to realize that her attitude had changed entirely. She was colder, more dismissive, and whenever I mentioned the retreat or her behavior, she'd throw tantrums or act like I was overreacting. Honestly, I'd never seen her so bitchy, so unlikable. She always had an excuse, some bullshit story about how I was paranoid or jealous. But I could see through her now. She was trying to keep up appearances, but I knew she was guilty. It was obvious. One thing that kept bothering me was how she kept denying everything. Every time I brought up the hotel reservation or the messages, she'd just call me crazy or paranoid. Her tone was so condescending, like I was just some insecure loser who couldn't handle her independence. That's when I realized her lies weren't just about cheating. They were about gaslighting, trying to make me doubt my perceptions. She wanted to make me feel like I was the problem, like I was the one losing my mind. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I decided I needed to talk to someone who could give me honest advice, someone who wasn't going to sugarcoat her bullshit. My best friend, David, was the only person I trusted enough to tell everything. I called him up and poured my heart out, telling him about the messages, the hotel, the confrontation, and how I felt like my world was falling apart. David listened carefully, then told me to be careful. He said Lisa was probably just trying to manipulate me into staying, and that I shouldn't let her do that. He also warned me about the possibility that she might try to spin this whole thing around on me, say I was the one who was controlling or insecure. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I kept thinking about what I wanted, what I needed to do. I knew I couldn't go back to her, not after everything. But part of me still hesitated. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. And I kept wondering if she'd ever really admit to what she'd done, or if she'd just keep lying until I was too exhausted to fight anymore. I was tired, so damn tired. Every day felt like a battle between hope and despair. I finally decided I had to put an end to it. I had to decide whether to file for divorce or to try to fight for some kind of reconciliation. But honestly, my gut told me to walk away. I couldn't live with the constant suspicion, the lies, the betrayal. I deserved better than this. I deserved honesty, loyalty, respect. And she threw all that away. She threw away our marriage for some stupid affair with her counselor's husband, who was probably just as manipulative and dishonest as she was. So I made my choice. I was going to get a lawyer, start the divorce process, and finally take control of my life again. It wasn't going to be easy. I knew there'd be fights, tears, maybe even some regret. But I couldn't keep pretending that this was just a minor slip-up. This was a full-blown betrayal, and I wasn't going to let her destroy me with her lies anymore. I've learned a lot from this, about trust, about the importance of paying attention to the signs, and about how much a person can lie to themselves and others when they're trying to justify their own bad decisions. The biggest lesson: never ignore your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And never let someone else's lies make you doubt your own feelings. I thought I knew Lisa, but I was wrong. And now I have to rebuild myself from the ashes of what was supposed to be a happy marriage. It's going to take time, but I'm starting that process now. I owe myself that much. The legal process was a whirlwind, honestly. I didn't expect it to be quick, but I also didn't expect it to be so draining. Gathering evidence, talking to lawyers, sorting through all the mess Lisa had left behind. Emotionally, it was like ripping off a bandage, but in slow motion. Every document, every story I had to tell, just hammered home how much she'd betrayed me. I still remember the day I finally filed the papers. Sitting there in the lawyer's office, watching her name come off the stack of shared accounts, I felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. The divorce went through, and honestly, part of me felt like I was finally free. Free from the lies, the manipulations, the constant suspicion. But I won't lie, there's a lingering ache that won't go away. I still think about her, about what we had, about what I thought was real. The trust I'd invested in her all those years felt like it evaporated in one terrible moment. I guess that's what hurts the most, that I loved her so much and it was all just a lie. It's hard to accept that someone you trusted so deeply could betray you so completely. Since then, I've been trying to rebuild my life. I focus on myself, my job, my friends, my hobbies. I've started going to therapy, not because I think I did anything wrong, but because I need help processing everything. I've learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you what kind of person you don't want to be with again. I'm learning to trust my instincts more, to listen to that little voice that warns me when something feels off. Looking back, I realize I was blind for a long time. I ignored the signs, convinced myself she was just stressed or busy. I thought her bitchiness was just her personality, not a sign of deeper issues. But I see now that she was always manipulative, always hiding her true self. The real lesson I take from all this is that you can't change someone who doesn't want to be honest. No matter how much love you give, some people will throw it away for their own selfish needs. Would I do it all over again? Honestly, I don't think so. But I also don't regret leaving. Staying would have meant living a lie forever, and I refuse to do that. I deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty, things she couldn't give me anymore. I hope anyone reading this who's going through something similar learns from my experience. Pay attention to the signs, trust your gut, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting the truth. I still feel the pain. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever fully get over it, but I also feel a strange sense of strength I didn't know I had. I survived something that could have broken me, something that crushed what I thought was a perfect marriage. Now I'm finally starting to heal. It's not easy, and I know there will be days when I fall back into pain or anger, but I also know I'll come out stronger on the other side. Because at the end of the day, I learned that I'm worth more than someone who lies and cheats behind my back. And that's the most important lesson of all.